Welcome to Weiss on Film. On each episode of Weiss on Film, we're going to take an everyday approach to movie reviews. Why don't you go over and get yourself some refreshments? There you go. And then we're going to head over to the screening room. All right, you got everything? Are we ready? Let's get into the screening room and get ready to see what we have in store this time on Weiss on Film. A wanderer without meaning in his life discovers a pair of sunglasses capable of showing the world the way it truly is. This time on Weiss on Film. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Weiss on Film. Thanks for dropping by the screening room with us today. Truly appreciate you joining us for this episode. And hey, if you're enjoying the podcast, would you do us a favor? Leave us a positive rate and review on your favorite podcast provider. You can also check out more episodes on Weiss on Film by going to purplepitstudios.com. That's purplepitstudios.com. Look for Weiss on Film under the choice of shows. And hey, while you're there at purplepitstudios.com, why not check out the other podcasts available as well? All right? So this time on Weiss on Film, we're going to be talking about a movie that was released actually quite some time ago. And it is actually pretty relevant today as it was back then. It's by the master of horror, John Carpenter. Basically, it stars a wrestler, or a former wrestler, named Roddy Piper. He plays a wanderer that has no meaning in his life, and he discovers a pair of sunglasses capable of showing the world the way it truly is as he walks the streets of Los Angeles. He discovers that both media and government are compromised of subliminal messages meant to keep the population subdued, and that most of the social elite are skull-faced aliens bent on world domination. With this shocking discovery, he fights to free humanity from the mind-controlling aliens. Going back to the year 1988 for John Carpenter's cult classic, They Live. You have a listen to the trailer. We're going to talk about it, and I'll give you my thoughts on the movie They Live when we return, this time on Weiss on Film.
What do these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy?
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
They're running the whole show.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you. Blinded us to the truth.
Take a look.
They are safe as long as they are not discovered.
I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them. Stay away from me. Put these on. They have us. Look at them. They're everywhere. Our owners.
We have no other choice.
I don't like this one bit.
Leave it alone, man. It ain't none of my business. Ain't none of yours.
We have been lulled into a trance.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble.
Control us.
They're sending some kind of signals out of TV sets.
I've got one that can see.
Mama don't like tattletale.
Now we start spilling some blood.
Let's go.
Push a button.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
There you go. There is the trailer for the movie They Live from 1988, starring, amongst others, Roddy Piper, Keith David, Meg Foster, Peter Jason, Buck Flower, and this is one of the few movies I've come across that has a couple actors in it, one named Keith David, and another one by the name of David Keith. Jason Robards was also in this movie as well, John Lawrence, and it was produced and directed by John Carpenter. And this particular movie, when it came out, it really didn't get much hullabaloo. I mean, this was made in the mid to late 80s when John Carpenter seemed to be really hitting his stride on films. And it's a sci-fi thriller. However, where I feel this film has a lot of relevance, even in today, in the 21st century here, the idea of the media, elites, and the government all colluding with each other to kind of keep the general population in check and under control. No imagination, stay asleep, subliminal messages, submit to authority, and what happens is Roddy Piper's character, he's a drifter, and he discovers, and just kind of happenstance in a homeless community, stumbles upon this underground movement of people that have, discovered the truth and what's going on in society, and they had made up these special glasses that when you put them on, they look like, normal sunglasses, but it allows you to see the subliminal messages when you're looking through them, and the actual aliens as what they look like. And the other thing in this sci-fi thriller is that there's like TV towers and are putting out signals, okay, that are masking us from seeing all this reality, as it were, in our everyday lives. One of the best known taglines from the movie is, "I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum." That line has stuck through the decades. It has, some of the other taglines in the movie is, "They control what you see, they decide what you hear. You think they're people just like you. You're wrong, dead wrong." And boy, doesn't that kind of translate into what's going on in today's society? With the apparent collusion of media, government agencies, and everything kind of putting narratives and things out there, without getting too political, mind you, This film, though, it only made about maybe $13 million back in the day. It had a budget of $3 million, and it made about $13 million in the United States. I saw it when it came out in its first run, and I was like, okay. And you know what drew a lot of people through to this movie was the fact that Roddy Piper was kind of in his heyday. He was a very well-known wrestler, for those of you who follow professional wrestling. It actually got a pretty favorable rating on the Internet Movie Database, 7.2 out of 10, and 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. People really seem to enjoy this film, and the general public in general, 92% like this movie throughout the time. Now, I don't know if that's because it carries over, it transcends. Sometimes you come across a motion picture that is timeless. One of them that comes right into my head is, It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, Die Hard, Miracle on 34th Street, Streetcar Named Desire, just to name a few off the top of my head, Casablanca, Wizard of Oz, films that just, while, yes, they are aged, they seem to age well and survive the decades because of the universal messages that they seem to, expound to us and talk to us through the art of filmmaking. And this is one of those films. It really does. And the funny thing about it is, this film, although it didn't receive much critical acclaim back in the day, I feel as time has gone on, it has gained traction. Now, you can find this, you can watch it on some streaming providers, you can rent it or purchase it on iTunes and that as well. As a matter of fact, I picked this up and added it to my personal digital library because it was only around $5 at one point through the Apple store for iTunes. So I remember the movie. I did enjoy it, and it's nice to kind of revisit that era. You know, you see a lot of noir, how, you know, they use the techno music back in the day and everything like that, where nowadays, you know, many filmmakers license songs for films. But back in the day, they were just kind of doing their own thing as far as with music and such. It does have some pretty decent special effects for, at the time, what were considered groundbreaking. And the story itself, like I said, takes you as Roddy Piper there discovers, you know, through happenstance that he's stumbled upon the alien culture that is subverting the American people. And it never really says, though, what, you know, clearly, are they using us for food or anything? There is some hint towards the end of the film. Are they using us for just natural resources, you know, that they can use and change the planet, and then they kind of move on? So it's kind of just left, per se, up to us to interpret, I would assume, you know, what the viewer takes out of the motion picture. Don't forget, this was, again, back in the 1980s era, you know, around the Reagan years and such, Reagan-Bush. So there was a lot of subliminal, maybe, messaging going on that back in the day for this film as well. But overall, for this film, I'm going to give this one They Live from 1988. Yeah, we're going to give it a thumbs up. This is definitely one, if you're a science fiction fan of any sort and you enjoy it, yeah, you're going to enjoy the idea of They Live from John Carpenter. It's got some action, it's got a good story, and, you know, you can find yourself really rooting for the characters in this film to uncover the devious plot that's going on. So we, here at Weiss on Film, give They Live, out of 5 buckets of popcorn, we're going to give it a 4. Definitely worth the time if you have a chance to watch They Live. I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you like a combination horror movie, sci-fi, something with a message, kind of make you think a little bit, check out They Live. Well, that's all the time we have for this time on Weiss on Film. And again, if you like the podcast, please leave us a positive rating and review. And look for more episodes of They Live on your favorite podcast, or They Live, Weiss on Film. See what I got on the brain? Look for more episodes of Weiss on Film on your favorite podcast provider and at purplepitstudios.com. Here we're talking about subliminal messages, and this movie has one in my mind. As always, we truly appreciate each and every one of you. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, please email us at mail@weissonfilm.com. Until next time, my friends, I'm going to go clean up the screening room. And until next time, I'll save you a little bit of popcorn. Take care.